So what about your opponent tomorrow? Some thoughts about them?
Yeah, they're good. Anytime you play Cincinnati, I just think it's not about your game plan. You know, you're so good defensively. You got to make your shots. You're going to get some shots, but you got to make them. And then the other thing is the game starts against them when the ball's missed. When you shoot and miss and they shoot and miss, your ability to get the rebound. So it really is a man's game.
Going out on the road, every game kind of gets amped up a little bit, but this team seems to respond. I mean, are they ready for the challenge?
Yeah, I think so. We're 19 games into the season. You kind of know who you are after 19 games. We've had, 15-4. I mean, you could make a case that we could be 18-1, 17-2, but we could also be 13 and what's 13? 13-6. Political science major. But we look forward to whether it's no matter who we play. We've had some tough losses on the road, as all teams will once you get into league play. Yeah, but our guys are looking forward to this game.
Kelvin, it seems like since from a defensive standpoint, I know that's always an emphasis for you, but since then, the last 3 or 4 games, it's really.
Yeah, nobody's made 10 threes on us in a half since then, have they? We got better at that. No, I think every time, every team's got to have an identity. If I were to give, if every coach that we've played were to give me a 3x5 index card and said, write down what you think about our team, I'd write something down. And that's probably what their identity is. At least it was that night. But that's the one thing as players and coaches you can control is who you want to be. And we had to, when you get knocked on your heels like we did that night, that forces you to sit down and say, okay, who are we? What are we going to hang our hat on every night? Is it going to be who we were against Tulsa when we couldn't miss a shot? How many threes we make that night? 17 or 18, something like that? Or are we going to hang our hat on something that can be dependable? And that's our defense, our attention to detail on defense, and our attitude and effort on defense. And it's a lot easier to hang your hat on something like that because that can travel. Making shots is I never know when the ball's going in, but the effort and the way we defend, that's something that we can control.
Coach, in addition to Gary Clark, who else on the Bearcats you to watch?
Well, they're big three. Every team has a big three. Kyle Washington, Gary Clark, and Jacob Evans. And then usually when you get beyond the big three, it comes down to X factors. I think Cumberland's a big X factor for them. They put more pressure on you at the point of attack because they have the 2 little point guards, Broom and Jennifer. I think that's really made their man-to-man defense better than it was last year. And then, they've always been deep. I think depth allows you to be consistent over 40 minutes. The other night, I think we've had 5 games this year, 3 minutes into the game, Devon's picked up 2 fouls. But, we just put Fabian in. So that's where depth is a factor. But Cincinnati's always been like that. I was looking back at Mick's early years. Mick's early years were similar to our first year here, but I think he's been there 10, 11 years maybe. And they are what they are. And they're good every year. They're consistent. They defend. He has an identity that they play to, and they're really good at it.
Y'all have. Go ahead, Bob.
You mentioned Fabian. Could you? I know you've talked about this before. His growth, and
Yeah, he's still growing. We have a tendency to overreact sometimes to a kid playing a good game, or maybe 2 or 3 good games. But he's a freshman. He's come a long way, but he's got a long way to go. You can tell there's certain kids that, how much better can they get? There's a lot of kids that are, their heads tapping the ceiling. They're not going to get a whole lot better, either it's because of lack of this or lack of that. But Fabian's Fabian has a very high ceiling. He's going to continue to get better, but he's still got a long ways to go.
So this info wasn't around after Sunday's game that we had known yet, but 40 points that you allowed, South Florida was the fewest that this program's allowed in 31 years. I know you preach defense, and your players even joked yesterday that the way that they played at times, you weren't as hard on them because of the way they played on defense in that game. But I mean, is that, when you look at a defensive game, did y'all do everything? Was that about a script, or was that based on the results, kind of what you would hang your hat on in terms of a really good defensive performance?
Yeah, it starts with our assistant coaches with the game plan. Our assistant coach is all responsible for scouting reports. I sit down and I look at each game. A lot of times I'll pair it up with, I think, personality. Some coaches I think would be better preparing for this game or that game. I used to assign the scouts when I was with the Rockets to the other assistant coaches, and you want certain guys preparing your team for certain games. But South Florida was coming off, it was a 10-point game. I think they were up 10 on Cincinnati at home, and it was a 5-6 point game against Cincinnati in the second half at South Florida, obviously. They were up 20-some on Tulane, so we knew, we prepare our kids knowing that we're going to play this team, not this team's record. We're playing this team. You can't always associate a team with their record, because they get better as the year goes on. I think South Florida was that, but our defense starts at the point of attack. I think our best defensive player is individual defender is Galen, but Corey's right there with him. Corey's come a long way. Corey's defense now is not where it was in October and November. He's gotten a lot better. So is Rob Gray. But where our defense is really improved is our fives and fours at stopping the ball and pick and rolls. College basketball is all about defending pick and rolls in 4 different areas. Slot, middle, and then the sides. You got to be able to have a plan. How are you going to defend the roller? How are you going to defend the popper? A lot of things. But we focus on. It takes a while to be a good defensive team, and I really believe this. I think you have to have more chemistry on defense than you do offense. You can get a guy like Trey Young that can carry you. He just goes make shots. The other 4 guys stand there and watch. But on defense, one guy plays great defense, one guy doesn't. Your whole team's no good. So that's why I think chemistry on defense is far more important. And we really work at 5 guys guarding the ball and 5 guys working in unison.
You already have a big-time win over Wichita State. Do games like that help for your team going tomorrow night? Or is it apples and oranges and mean nothing?
Probably nothing. The biggest win to me that we had all year was Liberty. Because of the timing of it and what happened the night before. And you're playing a good team early in the year on their home court against a good crowd. So that game meant more to me in the big picture. But we didn't become a good team after we beat Wichita State. I thought we were pretty good the night we beat Providence. Providence is pretty good. I noticed where they beat Xavier. I think Xavier's pretty good. I thought we were pretty good when we beat Wake Forest. I thought we were pretty good when we beat Arkansas. A lot of people started noticing us after Wichita State, but we've been playing since early November now. This is almost February. So once you get to this time of the season, your team is either where it is and it's going to get no better or continue to get better. I think because of youth like Fabian, inexperience like our 5s, whether it be, Breon Brady, who had the game of his life and then has still not gotten back healthy. He's going to get healthy at some point, and that's going to help us get better. So our team can continue to get better.
How are you health-wise beyond him? Good?
I think pretty good. Everybody's got a nick or a knack this time of year. Wes hurt his wrist. Chris got something. They're all in the train room. Football starts in August and ends in December. Basketball starts in September and ends in March. It crosses semesters. It's a long, long year. And from a injury standpoint, we're always fighting something this time of year.
I know about the other wins you talked about, but after Wichita State, you acknowledged it was you would consider it a signature win. If you can go up to Cincinnati and win on the road against a number 8 team, how significant would that be for your program, Kelvin?
I'll tell you after we do it. That's I don't deal in speculation.
Good answer.
How about this, Mark? Let's say that you win the lottery tomorrow and you become the richest man in the world. How would that make you feel?
Pretty damn good.
That's my answer.
It's a good answer.